Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. This is an unprecedented amount of combat from yours truly here, but I'm just so fucking hyped from everything they showed off at Adepticon that I just couldn't help myself. I had to jump on the bandwagon, and I'm making my second video on the topic. This time, basically what I'm doing is I'm just showing you a bunch of cool screen grabs I took from the trailer, and basically I just kind of picked through it and looked for all the new units. I don't think I took a picture of absolutely every single thing. Like, I think I didn't bother taking a picture of the new Termagants because, of course, they actually showed off that what those models look like already. But I think I got some pretty good looks here at just about everything else. Feel absolutely free to comment down below, like a timestamp from that trailer if you think I missed something important. But I'm just going to kind of like fly through this all and just give my little thoughts and opinions on all this, mostly focusing on the Tyranids at the start with more of the Space Marine stuff coming in afterwards. Now, first things first, we have, of course, what is clearly a new variant of the Carnifex. This is, of course, going to be the Screamer Killer version. It is modeled to pay homage to the old version of it. As you can see, like a Carnifex, it's kind of a similar size. It's got the six limbs, but this one, so 4 of them are devoted to combat, only 2 for walking, so it's actually a bipedal Carnifex. It doesn't have that kind of hunched over scuttling look. I mean, I think maybe when it's running, but it is a lot more upright. You can see it just cleaving through Space Marines. It grabs one at one point and just melts it with its Bioplasma Scream, which is of course the other ability that it has, and it takes a good amount of between bolter fire, close range, what looks like plasma, and melta, and then finally the new dreadnought comes along and blasts it with some las cannon shots, and that's what finally puts it down. Really cool looking model. From what we can see here, it looks to be about the same size as a Carnifex. I'll throw a normal Carnifex model up on the screen compared to the Space Marines. I think it's about the same size, just more upright. And of course it's going to be very wide with those big 4 reaching scything talon arms, but I really like it. I think it's a very cool looking model so far. Speaking of that new dreadnought, here is a quick look at it. I'll have another couple images popping up later on in the video, but it just segues into nicely what it's firing at. Of course, that's a double las cannon. It looks like it's going to be a las cannon with a missile launcher, probably some other ranged weapon options if I had to guess. But here, it's kind of hard to see, but look kind of in the top right, you can see the face, and then kind of in the bottom middle, you can see the gun of another one. These are the new Biovores. They're firing their, out of line of sight missiles at the dreadnought. You can see a couple of them hit it. I'm not sure how that's going to work now. Originally, they fired like spore mines, and then they could even pop up on the table, which was really cool. I'm assuming they're going to keep that effect, but we can't really see the ammunition too well. We can just see them kind of roaring and firing. Now, moving on from there, we've got a couple looks at the other version of the Gaunts, which I've seen some people say that it might be a dual kit, which it might be. But to me, and there's more images coming, the heads look quite different, and so does the back. To me, the back looks more arched, it looks taller, and then the head and neck looks more compact, like it's more like Pitbull-esque, it's more like, thick and brawly. So it might be a head and like a back, like carapace piece that swaps as well with the kit. We'll have to see, but to me it does look quite different from the Termagants that we saw earlier. Now here we have what I think are some of the nicest looking screenshots I was able to get. So this is just some sort of Space Marine that is locked in melee combat with what is either the new Lictor or the new Death Leaper model, and I'm gonna say it's the Lictor because you see quite a few of them darting around in this sort of area, like there's more than one of them. And if you see in the last image there, the Lictor actually wins. So you see the Space Marine stab it, he shoots it, then it gets a hold of him and impales him on its claws, and I think kind of throws them away. Really cool. You get a good look at it. You can see the tentacle mouth, you can see the long praying mantis kind of claw arms. I think they look really cool, and obviously they're able to kill Space Marines pretty well. I didn't see them other than when they grabbed the apothecary. It looked like they were almost being more like frontline troops and less stealthy, but I guess you'd have to show them off. You can't show them off if they're invisible, but the model anyway I think does look very good, and is definitely an improvement over the current one. Now, unless I'm mistaken, I believe this is a veteran Marine, maybe a sergeant or a lieutenant. He's being swarmed by what I think are those new Gaunts, we get a much better look at their heads here. So see what I mean, that these heads look more thick and armored and bulky? So they are quite different than the Termagants, if that's what these indeed are. And a really nice little detail, I don't know if anybody else saw, you see his hand reach up here at the end holding a grenade, and then it cuts away from him. Later on in the trailer, if you look closely, you see that same Marine with the white helmet and the bionic eye still fighting and shooting. So he detonated what was probably like a frag grenade, blasted all those little nids off him, and then because he's wearing obviously good armor, a frag grenade's not that dangerous, blew them off him, and he was able to get up and keep fighting. So that's a pretty cool little detail that I noticed. I don't know if anybody else saw that part, but I did like that a lot. It's a great trailer overall, of course. Next is just a quick shot of that new librarian. Of course, he looks very cool with his two-handed axe. I don't know if we've seen a Primaris Marine yet with such a big axe, or I guess he's in Terminator armor, but probably Primaris are supposed to be. And what's really nice is he has that on the gauntlet, or like built into the, you know, the wrist armor, storm bolter. It looks like he doesn't actually have to hold it in one hand, so it's kind of Grey Knight-esque. I'm sure a lot of people will be converting this guy if the Grey Knights don't get new models in 10th. But yeah, it looks really cool. I like him a lot. Now these guys here, I don't know what to think of them. I didn't actually see that many people talking about them, but so these two here that are munching on Space Marines, they look up when the Terminators come down, and they're clearly like a pretty fat, bulky bug with tentacle mouth parts feeding on the Marines. I don't see too much about them that makes them look like they would be very good in combat. I don't see big crushing claws or huge teeth or anything. They kind of almost look like a cleanup crew type of bug, like they're going along munching up the biomass. That makes me think this is going to be some sort of a buffing creature that's maybe not super good in combat but does something interesting. Maybe if it's near enemies when they die, it gives a buff to nearby units or something. I don't know. But it looks like this is kind of like the feeder cleanup crew type of organism going along, munching up everything. They look quite cool. I don't think we have a bug like that right now, so I do like that a lot. Now here I have some pictures of what is probably would be my favorite unit shown in this trailer. I've always been a fan of Tyranid warriors and the Hive Tyrants, and this to me, I originally thought it was just a Hive Tyrant, but I'm looking closer now and it's definitely too small. To me, this is either a Shrike or it might be an upgrade on the Tyranid Prime. The Tyranid Prime is currently just a warrior with a little bit extra rules. What if that now there is a Tyranid Prime model and one of the options to build it is with wings? So you can effectively have like a mini Hive Tyrant flying around. You can see here, so he's got the wings and then he's got two sets of like bone claws. I'm assuming he's probably going to have other weapon options or whatever, but he's obviously tough enough to kill a lone Terminator that was away from the group and rips him apart and roars. Very cool looking, basically like a mini Hive Tyrant. Now we have the floating brain bugs of death. Again, for the Tyranids, these have never been my favorite type of models. The Zoanthropes, the Malanthropes, they're not my favorite. I just like the big scary melee bugs better. I've never been a huge fan of Psychers, but this does look very cool. If you're into that sort of bug, I'm sure you will like this thing as well. It obviously is strong enough to overpower a Space Marine librarian, who's a pretty good psyker in general, so it must be quite strong. There's another quick shot at the more compact type of Gaunt before it gets capped by a Space Marine, and now we're into some Space Marine stuff. So see here, this is that veteran sergeant that looked like he died to those Gaunts and then got back up, and he's holding some sort of a new type of bolter. To me, it looks like it's some sort of a heavy bolter. Maybe he's a new lieutenant that can be armed with a heavy bolter. I don't know. They seem to never run out of those with Space Marines, but you know, good on him for surviving that that attack. That was pretty cool. We got a couple shots of what are effectively intercessors with flamers. They look like the same flamers that Black Templar model had. Pretty cool, but not that exciting. Now this guy, and people are gonna laugh, I would guarantee almost that this guy, the main character running through it, is a new lieutenant. I think they are taking the piss a little bit, and I think that's what it's going to be. He's a new lieutenant with some sort of a combi flamer rifle, and he's in all the shots. He's doing a lot of cool things. I bet you he's some sort of a new Phobos lieutenant, which I think is very funny if that's what they've done. We've then got the other squad of Marines there, shooting what looks like a Melta, although that could just be a Eradicator in the front. Another one of our boy here, and actually, you know what, for if he is lieutenant, he's a pretty cool looking lieutenant. I actually really like that gun. It looks very unique. What do we have left? Oh, we've got just a little shot here of the dreadnought firing its las cannon. It's confirming just here that it does have the missile launcher on the other side, although I'd be willing to bet that it does have other options as well, because all the other dreadnoughts have had some, at least one other set. Here we have our apothecary. I'm not an expert, but I believe this is like aggressor armor, whatever that style of armor is called. I don't think it's Terminator armor. He has a Primaris helmet on under there. But cool, new apothecary. I guess that was needed by Space Marines. And here we have the Terminators in all their glory. They're Terminators. They look like Terminators always have in the lore, but just not on the tabletop. They look great, of course. I've always liked Terminators. And we've got the captain there in the middle with his sword. So let me know what you guys think. That was just all the stuff that I saw in the trailer. Again, I really love the trailer. I thought everything looked super cool, and really happy with everything they showed off here. And just wanted to briefly talk about it again real quick. As always, guys, if you want to support the channel, Patreon link is down below, where I post all my cool work in progress stuff that is upcoming from me. Just a heads up, there will be a Kit Bash showcase video coming in the near future, because we've done far too many of this YouTuber nonsense and not enough of just me showing off my random crap. Alright, peace.